The alleged shooter in this case was echoing Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. The Unabomber suggested that if you were, for example, an oil executive, maybe you should be murdered. Because after all, there were externalities to the oil industry. Why not the banking industry? Why not? Maybe Bill Burr doesn't like the banks. After all, that bank denied Grandma her loan. So maybe Jamie Dimon should be tracked down and murdered. This kind of stuff.
No, Ben, no, Ben, stop! Ben! 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 Stop! Ben Shapiro came after our big, beautiful boy, Bill Burr, by the way. And yes, I will be watching the Video Game Awards later. Calm down. So I want to show you Ben Shapiro has not given up on this issue. I don't know why he's that hard I don't know why he's this hard-headed and he hasn't like dropped this. Folks, the reason we moved on to some other shit that is more favorable for him. He is just like, nope. He's just like, no, we're gonna talk about this. Folks, well, no matter what, we're just gonna keep pumping this fucking situation. And this time he's coming after Bill Burr. Yesterday, Luigi Mangione, who is the alleged of the United Healthcare CEO, he had been arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and he was brought into the courthouse in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, where he immediately began shouting at the chat. Tell me how many dislikes this has. Ben saying Bill is disconnected from reality is insanely ironic. My insurance denied our claim when my third child was born. It wasn't a mistake. We fought with them for 2 months over it, and they finally agreed to pay. The right and left agree on this issue. The healthcare system is broken. We, the regular people, are the ones suffering, not millionaires. I feel like I'm being gaslit. He's suggesting that the CEO of the biggest healthcare insurance company in the U.S. has zero effect on anything around him. Oh, now they're at 50-50? Finally, it's gotten down to 50-50 for Ben. The press, it's not totally clear what he is saying here, but here is video of him emerging from a police car and being ushered into the jailhouse where he... All right, get to the Bill Burr problems. Part. This means you get to shoot people, which has some sort of surfing accident where he had a really bad back injury that apparently left him in crippling pain. And he had a surgery that is very often unsuccessful that implanted a series of pins in his spine. And he presumably was having some sort of fights with some health insurance company, but that is totally unclear. And he did leave a manifesto. His manifesto is very short. It's 262 words. And it is worth exploring because it is a window into the mind of people who tend to believe that because the world is filled with problems, this means you get to shoot people, which is unfortunately a growing sentiment on the left and even some parts of the right. So here is what... There's something so funny about Ben saying this because, like, has there been a right-wing shooter that Ben hasn't said is good? Like, when right-wingers engage in vigilante justice against those who are powerless, ultimately, Ben loves that shit. He loves it all day, every day. He hypes that shit up. Ben loves it when Israel is shooting. Wait, I'm in this video? Ben loves it when, at what, 42? Us pleasing. Oh, nice. Oh, he's talking about my Lena Khan interview. Anyway, Ben loves it when Israel kills children. Israel shoots children. Israel fucking snipes children. He loves that shit. Complex, but I do not have the space and frankly do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. In other words, he didn't have a solution for any of the health insurance problems in the country. And those problems are quite real because the United States has a very heavily subsidized and regulated healthcare system. Insurance is not actually insurance. It's actually just health coverage. Insurance, as we mentioned yesterday on the show, would imply that you are making a bet with the insurance company that something bad might happen to you, and the insurance company is betting that it will not happen to you. That is obviously not how healthcare works in the United States, because no company in their right mind would bet that, for example, you won't need a checkup next week. Right? That would be a stupid bet. So this isn't insurance at all. It's health coverage that is provided at discount based on government subsidy. And also,
based on collective risk pooling. Okay, that's actually how the system works, and the system doesn't work particularly well in a lot of ways.
I love that he's going back to his roots. This is extremely my shit. This is old hat Ben. This is how he used to do. This is the commentary they used to get out of him. For people who wanted to come across as like intelligent. He is going to try to explain away the concept of insurance in the United States of America and basically defend it on principle to say that like it must exist and it's good that it exists and that it's actually a lot better in America than the way that you think it is, to an audience who's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't, this is literally fucking Vibe Session 2.0. This is like when the Will Stancils of the world try to explain away to the fucking average working class person who's like, dog, everything is so expensive. What the fuck is going on? That it's just in your mind, actually. You don't understand. It's just in your mind. This also is identical to Destiny's argument from yesterday. Well, actually, the working poor deserve to starve.
It works better than many of the other systems, including nationalized healthcare. But the point there is that the alleged shooter himself.
Okay, where are the facts for that? You got any facts for that? It works better than other systems, including nationalized healthcare? Hasan eats poop. This is what I think of you. Nice, man. So what kind of facts is Ben representing for this? Does he have any facts at all? It works better than any other OECD nation? It doesn't.
Is angry at a system that he says he does not fully understand and he has no proper solutions for. And by the way, he happens to be wrong on the merits. So when he says that the United States has the most expensive healthcare system in the world, but we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy, there's an excellent thread from a person named Jeremy.
Wait, he's right. What the fuck?
Kaufman, laying out some of the statistics with regard to the United States healthcare system. And the point that he makes is that healthcare spending in all countries tracks income. In other words, the more people get rich, the more they spend on healthcare. And this is true across countries. Here, for example, is a chart of health spending increasing rapidly with real income.
Wait a minute. So our healthcare is more costly because we're richer. Sure, there is a level of that. It's somewhat understandable. Okay, we're a richer nation, which means that we have, the pay for doctors is going to be higher. Fine, fair. Okay, the pay for a nurse is going to be higher than other countries. Fair. Okay, wages. But there's no reason for the fucking same medicine that's going to the United States to be an entirely different price point. It's the same medicine going to the European markets. I wonder why it's so much more expensive in the United States of America. Oftentimes, the distribution patents are not even held by the same companies. For the record, American healthcare, the American pharmaceutical market is so busted that the distribution patent for the United States of America and Canada is oftentimes separate from the distribution patent for the entire fucking planet. That's how large of a market the American healthcare market is, the American pharmaceutical market is. So what the fuck's that about? How does that work? Anyway, in terms of healthcare spending increases rapidly with real incomes, this is only part of the equation. Just so you understand.
So if, for example, you live in Hungary and you have a significantly lower income, you're going to spend less on your healthcare. And as your income rises, you're going to spend more on your healthcare. That is true everywhere. It is true in Norway. It is true in Canada. It is true in Italy. It is true in Spain. It is true everywhere. It is almost a straight line arithmetic correlation here. that as you make more money, you spend more money on your healthcare, which of course makes sense because you care very deeply about your healthcare. That is not a giant shock. As it turns out, if you actually correlate healthcare costs.
What's funny about this is that, yes, what he's describing is normal market conditions, except given the factor that inelastic demand exists in healthcare, as in, if you don't have healthcare, you fucking die, okay? Other countries, other OECD nations that are on that list have actually either so severely regulated their marketplaces because of that inelastic demand, or just have some semblance of socialized structure there. That is exactly what keeps those prices down. It's not just about wage increases that cause healthcare costs to go up. Okay? His argument hinges on the crazy idea that $100,000 of MRI is more healthcare than an MRI that costs $10,000. Exactly. In many instances, the procedure is the same procedure, but the price is infinitely higher. It's not even that I'm pretty sure he cooked that graph somehow. The U.S. is well documented as spending way more per capita than normalized the cost of living on average. I know. That's the other part of this as well. I assume that this graph is misleading. But this is the idiotic chart that Matty Iglesias put forth that is so easily destroyed. Two charts you need to look at simultaneously to understand. Americans spend far more than foreigners out-of-pocket for healthcare. Americans have a relatively low out-of-pocket share of healthcare spending. This is a fucking insane thing. Average out-of-pocket health spending per capita, Americans spend far more than most of these other countries, okay? Household out-of-pocket spending as a share of current health expenditures, on the other hand, is much lower. It's using a logarithmic y-axis and a linear x-axis. It's not really an exponential relationship and not linear. Yeah. The problem is, if an American goes to the doctor and gets billed $10,000 but has insurance that covers $6,000 of it, and a European goes to the doctor and gets billed $65 and doesn't have insurance, Matt Iglesias thinks that that American is getting a better deal. So why is it that Matt Iglesias thought that this would be a fantastic fucking way to stop people from getting mad at their health care? Like how? Yeah. Getting $10,000 bill for the MRI econ, bro. You have simply consumed more MRI than any other nation. Yeah, this is the Jeremy Kauffman take that everyone is dunking on. The U.S. spends more money on healthcare because it consumes more. Or the richer the country is, the more healthcare it consumes. You don't understand, you fool, you idiot. The same procedure is simply you're doing more of it. It's the same fucking procedure. You can literally track this against pharmaceutical costs. It's the same drug. It's literally the same drug. There is no reason. There's no reason for an American to pay more for the same fucking drug. It's not a different drug. It's not a better drug. And if you actually look at the healthcare outcomes overall, because we're so bad, because our life expectancy is so much worse than other comparable OECD nations, we must be taking the worst drugs, I guess. Well, the reality is we're not taking the drugs at all. That is the problem. I think in the most conservative estimates, 20 to 30% of the overall untimely demise comes from, I think, a lack of health care. And that's the most conservative estimates, 30%. There's obviously plenty of other factors that play into our life expectancy being low. Some of the most immediate factors are mass availability of guns, another problem that we will never fix because gun violence is actually responsible for the death of many people before they die at the normal age that they would die. Our bad diets are some of the invisible factors at play here. Even non-walkable cities devoid of public transit factors into why American life expectancy is so low. There's also the opiate crisis. It's true. There are many factors that go into our life expectancy. All right. Having said that, however, healthcare is also horrible. So Ben's argument is fucking idiotic here.
With income, what you see is that income rises, so does healthcare costs. Again, not a giant shock. In rich country, labor costs more. Inputs cost more. The real price of healthcare increases actually slower than incomes in cross-section.
Wait, I don't understand though. Like if a drug is being produced and manufactured in America, why is it fucking cheaper when European marketplaces buy that same drug? Why is it 10x in America? Please, Ben, explain this to me. I don't understand.
Sectional analysis. So as income in the United States increases, so does healthcare price, but slower than income increases in the United States. Not only that, you can see in surgical prices that there is correlation between income and the price of surgery, for example. Because again, as people make more money, they also demand more money as the inputs on labor. If you are a surgeon in the United States and the average income is $80,000 a year, you're going to make more money than in a country where the average income is $40,000 a year. That is not a shock. Straight line correlation. Cesarean sections are more expensive in Norway, where the income is higher, than in Israel, where the
Yeah. It's yeah, it's just that the doctor wages are too high. I mean, that's a part of it. That's definitely a part of it. But not the only part of it. Seems to me like if we care about fucking efficiency, as Ben claims he does, then we should maybe cut out this ineffective middleman that is just simply expanding prices for no reason. Also that a bunch of shareholders that have bought into this expensive, unnecessary middleman turn profit year over year. I think the funniest part about this is that not only is Ben wrong, but it's also funny because even if he was right, people would just be like, what the fuck are you saying? Are you saying that the healthcare system is good? Are you stupid? Of course, you think the healthcare system is good, Ben. You're fucking rich. You're rich as fuck. And part of your wealth directly comes from you defending private capitalist interests like this.
Income is lower. Appendectomies are more expensive in Australia, where the income is higher, than Korea, where the income is lower. And none of this is a giant shock. In other words, the market mechanisms
like you're talking about market mechanisms in socialized medicine. The out-of-pocket cost for a Norwegian cesarean section is $0. The out-of-pocket cost for an American cesarean section is, I don't even know what it is, but it's fucking obviously way more expensive. So for the average consumer, that's all they fucking care about, dumbass. That's the whole point. And the argument is that if the government was actually paying for it, like in many of these other socialized systems, when they actually have the welfare of the public in mind, that they would take action to ensure that there was more public welfare. They would also take action when bulk purchasing pharmaceutical prices that enter the market. And in that process, they would ensure that those prices are kept as low as physically possible. America's the largest consumption engine on the planet. We have a lot of leverage. If we had an actual socialized pharmaceutical structure or socialized medicine in this country, we could just say, oh, dude, you're not entering the American marketplace unless you fucking literally give us the same price that you're giving to Europe. It is ridiculous. But I've heard Ben advocate against that as well with silly ass notions like America subsidizes the rest of the planet's healthcare. It's fucking bullshit, by the way. That's a lie. It's a straightforward lie. And the very fact that that's a American Enterprise Institute talking point that Ben regurgitates all the time is really stupid. Yep. In spite of Americans paying nearly double that of other countries, the system performed poorly on health equity, access to care, and outcomes. That's it. I love how there is now reference to how much higher insurance executive salaries are here compared to countries who, you know, don't have insurance executives. Exactly. Less than 10% of health dollars go to physicians, 7.3% to be precise. The idea from Eric Levitz et al. That cutting healthcare costs must come from cutting physician salary and no place else is hilarious. I think many specialists earn too much, but let's be serious here, people. Yeah. Pull my logs. Currently, my family is fighting a draw legal battle about paying for my Alzheimer's-ridden grandfather. At first, they wouldn't allow Medicaid to pay for him, and his girlfriend has been very annoying in this. But that is besides the point. I keep thinking over and over. Socialized medicine would have fixed this entire issue. It's been very stressful for our whole family, myself included. What is this? There's girly pop news. Please cover it. Has he covered the alien drones yet? Has he said if he would fuck or wouldn't fuck the aliens in said drones yet? I feel like he hasn't taken the aliens seriously enough. They have drones and New Jersey in custody. They have drones and New Jersey in custody is hilarious, cutie. Respect. Excuse me, I would like to know what your take is on whether or not you would fuck these drones, please. I would like to know if you would have sex with these drones or not. What time does the Video Game Awards start, by the way, chat? In 20 minutes? Okay. Anyway.
Continue to function in the sense that as people make more money and as they spend more money, the costs go up. Most importantly, the idea that profits are radically high in health services is not true. Profits in health services are actually lower than in many other areas of the American economy.
Dude, I hate this shit. By the way, ambulatory healthcare services are higher than hospitals, nursing, and residential care facilities. But I hate this. I don't care. There should be no profits. That's it. What do you mean profits are not high enough? You die if you don't get it. It's so stupid. Oh man, I'm so sad how fucking low the profits are for the healthcare industry. Okay. Let the goddamn government handle it then, bitch. What the fuck is this argument? What is this argument?
So if you look at hospitals and nursing and residential care facilities, the profits are somewhere in the neighborhood of 2% to 5%, somewhere in that neighborhood. If you look at construction, they're way higher than that. Profits are really, really high in manufacturing, for example, but they're not particularly high in the healthcare industry, again, because of regulation and subsidization. So why exactly is it that we spend so much money?
Oh, he's saying profits are not high for healthcare because of regulation and subsidization. Ben's advocacy is to fucking make it even more costly. If left up to Ben, he doesn't even want fucking regulation. Not entirely certain how subsidization is actually making profits low, but it also doesn't entirely make sense because, yes, for example, United Healthcare's profit margins are 6%. This is profit margins, okay? These are profit margins. United Healthcare's profit margins are 6%. That's $33 billion in profit. $33 billion! What do you think has a higher profit margin? What I do as a Twitch streamer or United Healthcare? My profit margin is fucking insanely high. What do you think brings in more revenue overall? What a stupid fucking argument. United Healthcare alone is the 4th most profitable company. Yes. It deals in $500 billion in overall revenue. Just because this manufacturing as an industry is above all this other shit does not mean that, like, you know, manufacturing as an entire sector is raking in trillions of fucking dollars in profit in the same way that healthcare is. Just because the profit rate is low doesn't mean that they're not making a shit ton of money. Also, one thing to remember always is profits are a fucking stupid way of looking at this because companies are incentivized to keep profit rates low anyway. Their jobs are to still, like, executive compensation is before profits come in. Like all of this other shit that they're buying, mergers and acquisitions, all of that, stock buybacks, these are before profits. So just because a company's profit margins are low doesn't mean that it could not have been higher year over year. Also, this isn't even insurance. This is just hospitals and nursing and residential care facilities, which Ogre is right. I didn't even fucking realize. This is not even health insurance. But health insurance is there. It's at 6%. For United Healthcare, it's at 6%. That's what their profit margin is. Yeah, United paid out $10 billion in dividends last year alone, which isn't calculated in profits.
Industry, again, because of regulation and subsidization. So why exactly is it that we spend so much money, but we get so little input in terms of our health expectancy rising, our life expectancy rising? Well, number one, there is in fact a law of diminishing returns when it comes to healthcare spending. It's true across countries. At a certain point, a massive increase in healthcare spending only leads to a marginal increase in life expectancy. And this is not just true of the United States, it's true literally everywhere. So for example, the cross-sectional relationship in terms of how much you spend on care and the outcome is totally flat. So the life expectancy in, for example, Israel and Luxembourg is totally the same, but the health expenditure per capita is wildly different. So Israel is spending about $2,500 health expenditure per capita, and the life expectancy in Israel is...
Wait, where's America on this list? Where's America on this list? Also, this is from 2011. Maybe it's not from 2011. It's from 2011 dollars.
About 82 and a half years. Same exact life expectancy in Luxembourg, except they're spending $6,500 per capita. Because it turns out, no matter what you do with medicine, you simply can't prolong life beyond a certain point on average. So what's the big problem in the United States?
Oh, Okay, great. Then we should pay less then. Don't you like efficiency? That's why we have the life expectancy and good health metric.
Why does the United States have a lower life expectancy? Well, there are a bunch of reasons, but the biggest reasons are we do a lot of drugs, we're really fat, and we drive badly. Those would be the...
No, it's car-dependent infrastructure. It is. Opiates are a problem for sure. Opiate deaths are that rob people of their lives, cause people to have their lives cut short. And yes, our bad food habits, our bad consumption habits also play a big role. It's not because we drive badly. It's because we don't have fucking adequate public transit, dumbass. Something that you advocate against all day, every day. Americans have an incredibly fucking car-reliant infrastructure. We don't have any public transit. We don't have walkable cities. And also, notice how Ben didn't mention another thing? Interpersonal violence. Why is that red one so large in comparison to all these other countries? It's because of gun violence! It's because of guns, Ben! It's because of guns! People are committing suicide with guns! People are dying in mass shootings! There's a lot of gun violence in this fucking country!
The big reasons. We lose in the United States about a year and a half.
Americans also have an insane level of drinking and driving. No, dog. It's because there's no other fucking transit. That's the whole point. That's what I mean. Car-reliant infrastructure understandably causes more vehicular manslaughter. Because when there's no alternative, when there's no fucking car, when there's no bus you can take, when there's no train you can take, you drive. And when you drive and you spend more time driving, you have a higher likelihood of, getting in a car accident. You're just restating the point from another angle, dog. Oh my God. Ben's angle on this issue is busted. Okay? Ben's angle on this issue is completely broken. Yeah, we also have these like big ass militarized American vehicles that are more dangerous too, where you can't see children under the hood because it's so fucking high. Ben looks at this graph and says, it's because Americans are making wrong choices. They're individually driving poorly, and they're individually choosing to be fat, and they're individually choosing to do drugs. That's the problem. Ben is looking at systemic failure and reducing it down to individual responsibility. This is an idiotic way to try and approach any problem whatsoever. Because how do you instill individual responsibility upon every single individual? You do it through regulation. You do it through laws. That's why we have seatbelt laws, for example. The notion that this is all caused by 300 million individuals individually choosing to be fucking fat and driving poorly is idiotic. What is it? The Canadian mind is just simply better than the American mind? Is that what it is? Is it because people in Finland, people in Belgium simply are just like more brilliant than the average American, that they're making the right choices? No. It's because their society is structured with more competent governance that has people's welfare in mind. It's so stupid thinking the American skull is shaped differently, Ultimately, reducing everything down to the individual responsibility means that there is some sort of genetic predisposition that the American mind has, and it's not something you can solve through some kind of like regulation. It's fucking stupid.
In life expectancy on average, through drugs, car accidents, and violence, and we happen to be really fat. Okay, we have a huge diet metabolic problem in the United States. In fact, it has.
Surely it can be both. No, guys. I mean, I'm not even going to entertain that as a joke. Okay. Yes, American culture is hyper violent, hyper individualistic, certainly. But when we're looking at problems, systemic problems, and problems that obviously require systemic solutions, you can't just fucking deflect the attention away down to the individual. Okay? I'll give you an example. The one that I used already, vehicular manslaughter, car accidents, okay? Let's say you want to take public transit to work. How are you going to do that in a city like Los Angeles? How are you going to do that? It doesn't exist. What do? Let's say you want to walk somewhere. Well, the cities are not walkable because there's no public transit, so there's no need for sidewalks. There's no need for walkability. So what do? Do you walk on the side of the road? Okay, now you got killed by a fucking guy. You're a part of the fucking vehicular manslaughter statistic now. Good job. You cannot individually fix this problem if the systems are fundamentally broken. Okay? That's it.
Almost a 6-year decrease in life expectancy in the United States, thanks to diet and metabolic, because we're real fat in the United States. Okay, so none of this is to ignore the problems in the healthcare system.
Like the idea, this is Ben just like shitting on Americans across the board. This is the most anti-American thing you can say, by the way. And it's kind of funny that like supposedly these patriotic fucking dipshits get away with saying it all the time. That Americans are just like stupider, fatter, dumber than the average European. Is that what you're saying? Or are they just victims of circumstance? They exist in America. Like, I know I joke about Amerifats and AmeriKKK or whatever the fuck, but like ultimately I do recognize that most people cannot overcome the structures that bind them, okay? That's it. So Ben is just simply saying Americans are just too stupid. They just eat like shit. They're fucking dumb. They're stupid. What a ridiculous statement.
It is to point out that whenever anyone suggests that there are easy solutions and they are only barred by the evil of greedy health insurance companies, they are lying. It is not true. It is over.
I mean, it would be an easy solution if people like you weren't so resistant to it and desperately trying to fucking delude people into thinking that it's somehow their own fault, their own personal fault.
Overtly false. Okay, that's true whether the shooter is saying it while murdering somebody. The alleged shooter is saying that while murdering somebody. It is also true whether you are a comedian or a political commentator. So this brings us to Bill Burr. So I have to say, Bill Burr is an... Okay, so Bill Burr, I used to really enjoy his work. I mean, on occasion, I still enjoy his work. He's a comedian, which means he's very hit or miss. His Red Rock special, for example, hilarious. I'm such a Bill Burr fan that I actually bought a ticket for me and my wife and 2 of our friends to go see Bill Burr at the Hard Rock Casino down here in Hollywood, Florida. And I have to say, it was one of the worst shows I ever saw in my life.
He's woke. Let me guess. He's woke. Bill Burr has become woke. Folks, I used to be a fan of Bill Burr, but then I found out he got hit with a woke ray. Wokeism.
Because he got up there, and Bill Burr has become woked. He has become woked, I assume, because his wife is very much on the left. Over time, I think he became embarrassed.
Wait, his wife? What do you mean by that, Ben? What do you mean his wife? The lovely Nia! Let's look it up. Oh, that's what he means. Oh, Oh, so that's what Ben means when he says his wife. Oh, okay. Weird, because they've been married since 2013, and I'm pretty sure the Red Rock special was way after that. It was only a couple years ago, as a matter of fact. So I don't know where the fuck he's coming from. Huh. Interesting.
That many people on the right thought he was very funny. And so he decided that he was going to start woking.
Yeah, Bill Burr, picture with infamous leftist Patrice O'Neill. There he is, woking Bill Burr. There he is, wokeifying Bill Burr. Bill, get away from this man. He's going to woke you. You're going to get woked out.
Woking it up. Well, Bill Burr is a disappointment, sort of like incognito mode on your computer, because they keep telling you that everything you do.
Wait, did he just do a fucking... Shut the fuck up. He just said some heinous racist shit and then immediately sidestepped into an ExpressVPN ad? Are you fucking joking? There ain't no way, dog. He was like, Bill Burr's got a black wife. Also, ExpressVPN. God damn. God damn.
Pretty much all of us, that would be taxes. The October 15th deadline, it's passed. Are you prepared for what could come? Now he's with a parent and a lot of Hispanics and black people who live down here. He ended up totally disconnected from the audience. Early news.
Wait, what?
A lot of gay people like gay racists. Because his jokes were basically about how Floridians were a bunch of anti-gay racists. And Floridians were like, that's not true. There are a lot of gay people who live down here and a lot of Hispanics and black people who live down here. And in fact, the room is filled with Jews. Right? And so he actually got so frustrated, he ended up cutting his show early and walking off the stage. And the reason was he was totally disconnected from the audience. Well, that disconnect has continued. You'll remember that he appeared on Bill Maher's show where he declared solidarity with the pro-Hamas students on campus.
Bro, these are broadly popular positions, man. You can't just you can't just wish cast a different interpretation of all the things that people are looking at and going like, no, this is actually kind of fucked up. It's so funny. He's like, no, you don't understand. Everybody hates, everybody loves Israel. Everybody in America loves Israel. And you should kill people who protest against them. Yeah, Bill Burr also didn't declare solidarity. He literally says students have been historically right, so these guys are probably right too. It's so funny. Ben's entire shtick is just like being an annoying fucking loser who tries to tell you in many different words, in the nerdiest aesthetic possible, that like things will never be better. And you should stop focusing on trying to change the system and get mad at random gay people instead. And like, sure, there's a faucet of that kind of commentary out there. And I'm sure, it's done him favors so far. But, turning around and shitting on Bill Burr, especially in this moment where he's like, obviously talking about why people feel resentful towards healthcare CEOs and whatnot, because, they're murderers themselves. It's like the fucking mob. It's correct. Perhaps that's the reason why he didn't play Bill Burr's clip.
Campus. And now he is proclaiming that he is very happy that CEOs are walking around in fear for their lives. Okay, now, you do get some extra points for being a comedian in today's day and age, meaning that we'll tend to give you some more leeway to say edgy things because you're trying to be funny. And it's not clear to me here that Bill Burr is attempting to be funny. This is just his actual political opinion. He's not saying anything funny or insightful here. Here is Bill Burr yesterday explaining that he is perfectly fine with CEOs having to live with full-time security because they fear they might be shot because, after all, they're murderers too.
Oh, my God. Oh, the poor CEOs. Oh, the poor CEOs. Good luck, Ben. Good luck on this endeavor. I'm sure you're gonna fucking really get your audience riled up. The poor CEOs, they're scared for their life. They should be able to kill people. I don't understand. What do the comments look like? No, they're fucking shitting on him. I feel like I'm being gaslit. He's suggesting that the CEO of the biggest healthcare insurance company in the U.S. has zero effect on anything around him. Invite Bill on your show, I dare you. It's absolutely rich when Ben says things like, just because you had a bad experience with a health insurance company, having a bad experience with a health insurance company isn't like a barista messing up your morning coffee and you hope to get a better one tomorrow. These bad experiences result in people losing their loved ones and being denied or prolonged life-saving medication and procedures. Hey, Ben, how are you going to get legislation changed when the very people who are responsible for changing legislation are being bought and paid for by pharma and insurance companies? This is a rich guy trying to say insurance companies are justified charging you thousands of dollars for a hospital visit. I agree with Bill Burr. As a former cancer patient, each chemotherapy session infusion bag I remember was $20,000 billed to insurance. Coverage for my husband's asthma inhaler was denied this month and for the first time ever. He's had the same script for 25 plus years. Too many ads. I don't even like watching Ben anymore. It's hard to keep track of the stories when he's dropping ads right in the middle of each story. How about putting the ads in between the stories instead? If our healthcare system works so well, why do so many people hate it? Love how you didn't show the full quote. The media is completely out of touch and is an insult to the American people and their lived experiences. Ben, the average working person has little to no voice in these systems. It is obvious. Dude, imagine how fucking right-wing normally YouTube comments are. And I'm willing to bet that a big chunk, I mean, these guys aren't fucking socialists going into the comments of Ben Shapiro to literally turn around and be like, oh, I'm actually a right-winger. Like, they're not lying. These are right-wingers. These are not just right-wingers. They're like annoying right-wingers. They're the type of right-wingers that go and get their notes from fucking Ben Shapiro. It's a real unique kind of right-winger. We have a hype train going, by the way. Speaking of ads and how annoying they are. Remember, I no longer serve ads, but you can still support the show by subscribing for $7 now, I think. Or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription a month. Also, Bill Burr's been talking about executing CEOs and hunting them down for years. Here it is.
They focus on. You know what I mean? There's a guy from Nestle that doesn't think water is a human right. I mean, that guy should be hunted down and shot. Yeah. Right? And they're going to sit and just talk about, talking about all the, I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, we got to get America back to work.
It's like, dude, this guy wants to own the rain. Can we do something about this guy? He was at Nestle. You're supposed to be happy. It's like making cocoa for people. And this guy's like going, well, people are running out of water. What if we owned all the water and we kept it under our place? And in the future, when everybody's, that's how you picture the guy talking. I want to own the water. I want to have it underneath my house. And just, I'll come to the door in a robe, slightly ajar. Right? It's a complete animal.
Just a complete animal. Yeah, Mr. Woke, dude. Yeah, it's Bill Burr that's woke. It's not Ben that's quote unquote woke in this situation, wokely scolding people for feeling some type of way about the way the current insurance structure is so damaging to the average person's life. Oh.
I don't believe that Bill Burr holds the same standard for comedians. There's an argument that's been made by the left. It is a crap argument when made about comedians, and it's a crap argument when made about CEOs. The argument goes something like this on the left. People like Bill Burr mock the vulnerable. They mock the marginalized. And thus,
I shit on those people all the time. Whenever people come for Bill Burr, I tell them to shut the fuck up. This is part of the reason why. Because, once again, 1, he's a comedian. 2, he is a fucking asshole. 3, you don't have to agree with everything he says. But most people don't actually get up in their feelings about Bill Burr, which is ironic because you're getting in your feelings about Bill Burr right now. You're woke. You're a fucking SJW, Ben. Radlibs get mad about Bill Burr. Who gives a fuck? Fuck them. It's just noise.
Thus they are a danger to the vulnerable and the marginalized. So presumably...
Yeah. He's literally mad that Bill Burr isn't pro-Israel. Like, that's the most SJW branded shit you could do, dumbass. I can't believe it. Bill Burr wants Hamas students to kill me. Bill Burr is in support of student protesters that said what Israel is doing is wrong. How could you hurt Israel's feelings? Bill Burr, how could you hurt the CEO's feelings? What a bitch. Yeah. When you're a right winger, it's awesome because you literally, your priorities are completely busted. It's just out of whack. Where you're like, no, it's not the underserved poor, okay, yearning for freedom. It's not those who are getting bombed into fucking bits by America's greatest ally, Israel, that are actually those who are marginalized. It's the fucking CEOs, and it's actually the fascist state of Israel. Those are the poor people that must be defended at all costs. It's the wealthiest people in society that we must protect. Fuck.
Bill Burr should have to live in fear of making a joke. Bill Burr should have to live in fear because he doesn't know who he's damaging. In any case, here is Bill Burr openly cheering the murder.
It took him 14 minutes to get to this fucking Bill Burr clip, by the way.
Of a United Health executive because he says CEOs should live in fear if they don't act in the way that he would have them act in a system that he has no fixes for, by the way.
You know, I think you don't like his fixes.
What's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every month and now we finally need you and all you do is deny us. And then all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that CEOs are afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy pieces of shit. And a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Okay, Bill Burr is a piece of... Okay, well, what he is saying here is truly evil. He's truly evil. He's saying you should live in fear if you're the CEO of a company and that company does things that...
Dude, imagine posting this and then thinking this makes Bill Burr look bad and not you for criticizing this in the most annoying ways possible. Oh my God, I can't believe this very popular, beloved comedian is saying what, like, the overwhelming majority of American society believe. How dare he? These guys are so primed to hate CNN, so at least you should take your cues from fucking CNN. When you notice yourself making an argument that is identical to CNN, maybe you'll realize that you're out of touch. This is not any different than what CNN is saying, Ben. This isn't any different than what fucking New York Times is saying. Same shit when it comes to Israel too, by the way. Just remember, these guys, they're not so different.
Bill Burr deems to be bad things. Now, we have laws on the books, for example, that prevent things like fraud. Okay? We have laws on the books that prevent things like embezzlement. We have laws on...
Yeah, and they do a fantastic job. Oh, wait, no, they don't, because the structure is designed by rich people. The very fact that healthcare is for profit is already ridiculous to begin with. It is indicative that the system is a failure overall.
On the books that punish criminal activity. If you don't like the system, and many people don't, the proper response to that system would be legislation. In a democratic republic, the way that you fix problems is you have open discussions of the details of those problems, and then you try to craft regulatory or legal fixes. You do not...
Which I will stop every step of the way. If you ever suggest that something should change, I will tell you, you're wrong.
Not say that it is a good thing that CEOs should live in fear of their...
Yeah, everyone complaining about the shooting is top 3% of wealth in America. Straight up. Or a loyal servant of the interests of the top 1%.
Their lives because Bill Burr deems them morally inferior. Bill Burr doing his blue-collar class routine act is a bunch of horse. Bill Burr is worth $14 million, and he makes his money making crap movies for Netflix at this point.
You're richer than Bill Burr. Yeah, he's a rich guy who gets it. You're an even richer guy who doesn't. What's the argument? This is so funny whenever people are like, wow, the kid was from a rich family. Luigi was from a rich family. Isn't that crazy? It's like, okay, motherfucker, how rich are you? Like, what are we doing? What is this pocket watching? Like, this is something that I will never understand. Like, what is the expectation here? That he should shut the fuck up and defend the CEOs instead? Is that what it is? Is that what the argument is? I love it because, you know, for obvious reasons, I have a very deep and personal connection to this line of criticism because it's probably the one that I get every single fucking day. It's like, oh, you're rich. Why do you advocate for the poor? It's like, okay, I'm not black, but I advocate against anti-black racism. I'm not trans. I advocate against transphobia. I'm not a woman. I advocate against patriarchal constructs that harm women. I'm not getting an abortion anytime fucking soon, but I think women should have bodily autonomy. The fuck is this? Yeah. What is why do you bring this up? Why do you bring this up? Is it the expectation? Is it your expectation that I fucking stay in line? Is it your expectation that Bill Burr know his place and defend the interests of the wealthy then? It's so stupid. It's just a thing that literally hangs right there. There's no purpose for this statement. None whatsoever. It only makes sense. It only makes sense if you're wealthy and you're advocating for the interests of wealthy. In that sense, it does make sense. Okay? In that avenue, it makes sense. Like Ben Shapiro, who is even wealthier than both myself and Bill Burr combined times 10. And of course, as a very rich guy, he's advocating for the interests of the wealthy. As a CEO, he's advocating for other CEOs. But it doesn't make sense to bring this up about Bill Burr. Unless you're trying to say you're out of touch with the interests of the average person.
Again, this basic idea, if we're going to have a functioning country, you can't justify the murder of people who run their businesses legally in ways with which you disagree. It is one thing to disagree with them. You can call them whatever you want. When you start justifying them living in fear or suggesting maybe they should be murdered, I'm just wondering what the limiting principle here is. I'm wondering what it is. The alleged shooter in this case was echoing Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. The Unabomber suggested that if you were, for example, an oil executive, maybe you should be murdered. Because after all, there were externalities to the oil industry. Why not the banking industry? Why not? Maybe Bill Burr doesn't like the banks after all.
Ben, if I were you, I wouldn't be making this argument, big dog. I'm just being real. I'm keeping it $1.50. Because shit like this is not going to be read in the way that you want it to. You know? When you say stuff like that, not recognizing that the appetite that broader American society at this point has, because they're just holding on by a fucking thread. You know? Especially when previous members of your community have gone out and done hate crimes and shit. So there's at least a couple incidents that have already occurred. You've already agitated enough mass shootings. You don't want to say stuff like, you should probably be a little bit more careful and considerate about the way you talk about these things. I myself, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say, I do not condone what Ben Shapiro is saying. I condemn it.
That bank denied grandma her loan. So maybe Jamie Dimon should be tracked down and murdered. This kind of stuff is full stop evil. It is evil. I don't care what complaints you have with the health insurance company. The notion.
I can't believe Ben really just, wait, I got to run it back. Well, that was crazy.
You can't justify the murder of people who run their businesses legally in waving in fear or suggesting maybe they should be murdered. I'm just wondering what the limiting principle here is. I'm wondering what it is. The alleged shooter in this case was echoing Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. The Unabomber suggested that if you were, for example, an oil executive, maybe you should be murdered. Because after all, there were externalities to the oil industry. Why not the banking industry? Why not? Maybe Bill Burr doesn't like the banks after all. That bank denied grandma her loan. So maybe Jamie Dimon should be tracked down and murdered. This kind of stuff.
No, Ben, no, Ben, stop. Ben! 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 Stop! That's crazy, man.
Of all violence. Unfortunately, it's not just Bill Burr. It is so many members of the elite of our society. The people who are fine living with private security.
Bro, you're elite. You're elite. You're elite. Shut the fuck up.
They make millions of dollars saying things on TV. It's not just Bill Burr here. Okay, it is also Jimmy Kimmel. So Jimmy Kimmel last night decided that he would do an entire segment celebrating the good looks of.
Oh, it's so fucking lame. This is exactly the type of shit that these guys normally grab onto and rail against all the time. All the goddamn time, dude. Bruh, just I should go and murder the banker who made my grandma homeless. Who's this left-wing extremist you're watching? I need you guys to understand, I'm watching this specifically because I'm condemning it. I am not condoning Ben Shapiro's statements about how Jamie Dimon deserves to be hunted down and murdered, okay? I am condemning it. Condemn. Okay? I do not condone. This man is a left-wing loony. Cenk would call him the extreme left or max left or something along those lines, okay? Shame on you, Ben. I disavow. I disagree. It's really fucked up that he came out with this, especially at such a politically divisive time.